is up, party people? It is 2019. I've been doing a lot of thinking about this next year, what it means for me, what it means for the future of this vlog. I have so many exciting things in the works to talk about. I have decided to make up my New Year's resolutions. I'm gonna get back on that healthy lifestyle. I eat right out of the garbage. So it's pretty bad. You know I love my canes and have not set foot in the gym. People have been trying the keto diet. People have been trying the intermittent fasting. I am gonna go full starvation. Corpse. Skeletor. I'm gonna be rocking bones out. Bones everywhere. Bones coming out of my fucking eyeballs. And Chauncey too. Chauncey too. Chauncey! Another news, Chauncey also lost his balls last week, RIP balls. Had to do it. He's been going outside a lot, sneaking out, so I got his balls right off. But it's a new year, and it's a new ballless Chauncey. Post-holiday, I played a ton more in Ivey's room, but they were really long sessions. Really swingy sessions. We won the first day, lost the second 2 days, ended up losing overall. It was a lot of fun. Also, I do post a lot of updates on my Instagram story. It's definitely a better place to kind of get a more short update version of how I'm doing in the game and look what kind of games I'm playing. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. I'll put my link below. These opportunities are things that I've always dreamed of doing. I am still very much passionate about them, and I said, okay, well, like, if you're gonna do that, you have to start taking poker more seriously. And I actually did a poker academy right before the holidays. It was the second level of Matt Berkey's poker academy called Solve for Why. It's Matt Berkey, Matt Hunt, Christian Soto, Jordan Young, and a few others, but this one was a 5-day class that I did. It just dives right into the post-flop play. How it's set up is in the morning time, they lecture for about 4 hours.
I'm having a heart attack! I think you just split it.
And yeah, protect some of the queens.
You're splitting ace-king, aces, and queens in your range. Pairs that are flipping, they're going to be broad ways that you're either dominating or they're live against you, but they're still behind.
We have lunch, and then we actually get to play poker in real time on RFID tables, and they can see our hands and they commentate, which we get the tape later. We can watch it at night. So needless to say, after 5 full days of that, my mind was blown, and I really think that it's a good investment for anybody who does that. They have not paid me. This is not sponsored in any way. I've never been paid by them to say this. This is my true feelings, and I definitely feel like just from those 5 days, I learned so much. So I'm gonna put some of the hands that I played, and it's gonna be really great because these hands, not only did I play them, but you get to hear Matt Berkey and Christian Soto and a little bit of Matt Hunt commentating on it too. They really think outside the box. They really do unorthodox things. And by the 5th day, I could really feel myself, it's sinking in. At first I was a little shaky. I was having trouble implementing it, but that's just natural, and I'm so fucking stoked to get into these hands with you guys. Under the Gun opens up to $50 in 5-10. I am in the hijack with pocket 9s, 2 black 9s, pretty easy just call. And the cutoff player right next to me goes ahead and 3 bets to 175. Under the Gun player calls, and we have a very, very clear fist pump call here. Flop is interesting. It's 10-8-4, 2 diamonds. Under the Gun player checks, and I go ahead and lead here. This is a pretty advantageous flop for the calling player's range, and gonna put the player behind in some really tough spots.
So Haig 3-bet Queen Jack suited or Queen Jack
Queen
off?
Jack O.
Okay, now I like her lead a lot.
Yeah.
So she went call in the hand, came 10x or 10-8x, 2 diamonds.
Yeah.
And she elected the lead black 9s. Haig did not have the queen of diamonds, right? I still think he has to call. I think he's overfolding there if he's 3-betting Queen Jack and then just mucking on 10-8x.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that Marle demonstrates why exploitatively we can be leading into opponents on textures that touch our call range or our cold call range or whatever the case may be, because there's still a tendency to be overfolding in these parts of the game tree that we're not accustomed to being in.
Especially with Mark behind, it's just a tough spot.
Right.
You don't see the clear path of winning.
Right. But like, ask yourself if you're in Marley's shoes or if you're in Haig's shoes, would Jason Kuhn fold Queen Jack Black there?
Right.
No chance.
No.
Right? He's either going to bluff with it or he's going to continue with it in some capacity.
So this next hand starts with Jarmusch opening it up in under the gun +2, 250. I believe the low jack and high jack called, and I'm in the cutoff with ace 8 of diamonds. He calls, and we get a flop of king 9-9 rainbow.
So flop goes check, which I think is totally fine and standard, although Marle does block all of Yanosh's 9x. Turn is the 10 of diamonds, which actually, to her credit, is a recognizable good card for Yanosh's range, especially in a check spot. So despite peeling heaps of equity, Marle decides to check back.
I like that.
Turn is the 10 of diamonds, so I pick up a nut flush draw, but it is a very wet card, and it's definitely a card that it's going to help him out a lot of the time. He checks it over to me, and even though I do pick up equity, I don't really see much incentive to bet. I'm not getting many folds, as this card likely helped him. If I get check raised, it really sucks. I'm really in a tough spot here. I have a ton of equity, but I could be drawing dead. If I bet here with ace high, which is not likely good when I get called, I can't really bluff rivers because it's just not going to get through that often. So I decided to check back and take my equity to the river, which is a great card.
The river is now the jack of diamonds, which is the nuts. Yanosh has a very clear fold here, in my opinion. He unblocks diamonds. He unblocks ace queen. So he blocks kings and jacks, which is somewhat important.
Ace queen is really important here.
But yeah, ace queen is like since ace queen is capable of overbetting in this spot, I think your hand shrivels up very significantly. And when you're talking about what her best bluff candidates become, it's really ace jack with a diamond.
He checks it over to us one more time. Definitely need to go for value here. I decided to go for a slight overbet. He can have a lot of queens that make a straight. You can have the nuts straight.
Also, like, what are her bluffs? Like, is she just going check with like ace 5 and then going for it?
No, she can't. She has to have the ace of diamonds in this spot to be
Right.
bluffing, in my opinion.
Right.
So it can only be offsuit ace jack. And again, there's only 2 combos of those with the ace of diamonds.
And
that's
that's
an
a
unfortunate
call.
payoff.
Oh,
wow. That's interesting.
No.
Why didn't you think about it?
And he goes ahead and check raises all in. Now, this is something that I need to work on. I think that in lower stakes games, you can exploitatively just fold the nut flush in this spot. Something to learn going forward. I did actually talk to the guys afterwards, and they agreed this is like a big leak of mine, that I don't really think things through, and that I kind of revert to like standard exploitative play, which can be good in the long run. But I think that like something to be taken away from this hand is that, especially in low stakes games, even though like you're puking in your mouth and it really sucks to get jammed on in the spot, let's just say by a recreational player, it really sucks, but sometimes you gotta just like sigh, call off, because you're at the top of your range, you know what I mean? Like, you got the nut flush, it got checked 3 times to the river, your hand's kind of under-repped, you know, you kind of have the top of your range here, and although you're kind of puking in your mouth, sometimes you gotta shrug, call off, and that's just part of poker. The takeaway from this hand is just about table dynamics. Something that you should know before this hand, before I explain it, is that the hand right before this, I actually 5-bet bluffed jammed and showed a bluff. And then this hand happens, Jarmusch opens it up in early, and I wake up with ace king off. The guy that I just bluffed is behind me. There's people behind me that have been seeing me get out of line, and I just think that it's a perfect time to put in a flat with a big hand. And Dave Tannenholtz decides to put in the squeeze in the small blind.
Here with pocket 6s, Marle with ace king just after she went.
Oh my god, just flat,
wow.
just flat. I love it. I love it.
Threw in the flat.
I love it. I don't know why. I just feel like it's right. Like somebody's just gonna go hard here. Like Brian with 10-9.
Thank God.
Oh, there it is.
No.
There it is. We got the
no.
ledge. Easiest squeeze ever. Oh my god. I don't know why. I just knew this would happen, but I love the flat for this reason.
Now this is not gonna be believed. There's no way. I would induce ace.
Yo,
king
you
now.
know she might go broke with sixes in this hand.
He's gonna flatten. All right, induce. You have to induce, right? You can't smash.
Sort of. No, yeah, you don't want to smash, but you want to make it big enough where like
1,000, right?
like I would do some weird things with like. Okay, so a thousand's fine.
Though. I kind of like it. Like it's like causing a spaz. Like,
Yeah, and it might just like go call.
Yeah, no, she's the one really in trouble.
You know she's going broke. That man is putting all of his money in the middle.
He makes it 350 to go, and Jarmusch calls with pocket sixes as he should, and as he probably would with his entire range. And it's back on me, and it's kind of interesting here. We're about 2,500 effective. I definitely like putting in the 4-bet at this point. No one's gonna believe me. My image is great. People are gonna think I'm just going totally off the rails and getting out of line. So instead of shoving, I decided to make it 1,000.
What about David? He's just like, yo, I have a really good hand to be squeezing with, and she's back raising me. Like, that's just 9-7 suited. She just shoved jack high.
I know, but this has to be a good hit. Like, don't fall for this. You're too.
No, he's too good.
He's too veteran.
He's too good.
He's too much of a veteran.
He's seen it too many times. They just while out the hand before. They wake up the very next hand. They just.
He's been around for years, man.
No.
Oh, it worked. I told you that's why you make it 1,000, man.
Oh, I love that it
It
worked.
worked. Stop, come on.
Look how big of a favorite he is.
Your hand's in the muck already. It worked, man.
She's so happy.
It worked.
Oh, man.
Oh. 10's coming.
Oh, yes.
Punish. Wow.
I'm so proud of that hand. Very well played, Marley. I honestly can't really put a pulse as to why that whole play just makes sense to me, but it just makes sense.
Janosch opens it up in early to 35 this time. Standard open in this game has kind of been around 50, so a little bit smaller. To Matt Hunt, 3-bets to 130. It folds to me on the button. I have pocket eights. I am on the button. I am closing 250 big blinds deep, and I decide to get in the mix and call.
I don't like the cold call, though.
No, me either. I think Marley's is okay. She's on the button.
Yeah.
She has a hand that's pretty hot and cold until that flop comes.
Marley,
it's actually difficult for him to realize on
Marley
this
wants
board.
to check, too.
Does she?
I think so.
She's not beat.
No, she's not beat.
I mean, she is beat, but like not often.
I know, but like the amount of times that she gets an immediate fold, it's...
Her range smashes here, though, through the cold calls.
So do the other 3 ranges besides Matt's.
Is it a pot size shove?
Yeah.
Then yeah, I agree. And now this becomes a nightmare for Marley. No. Marley can really consider calling. She unblocks hearts. She has a pretty good hand.
This is a tough one.
I don't know, man,
I think
because
I
I
would
don't think
call.
Janosch can ever continue when she does.
No,
So,
Janosch is done.
Yeah, like when she calls, he just has tens, or sorry, just like jacks and queens that muck.
Well, this hand will make the vlog no matter what.
I mean, she's like kind of created this spot for herself where she has a hand that's probably lower in the EV rankings, but it ends up going way up just because of the action. Like Matt's pushing enough equity where
What's the bottom of Hunt's range?
probably what he has.
For sure. This is the absolute worst hand.
Yeah, I wonder if he
think-
could jam like Queen Jack of Diamonds. As
He
played.
can, but I don't know if he will.
Right, or King Jack of Diamonds.
Muck.
I think that's a tight fold.
And now...
Flop is 10, 9, 7, 2 hearts. This board should and does smack my cold calling range right in the face. Betting is definitely great to deny equity to all over card. If Matt Hunt has aces or kings, he can't do anything but check call. He's in a tough spot, and he's like guessing as the hand moves forward. I do have Brian cold calling behind me, and I don't want to get check raised off my equity. So it's a really tough spot for me here. I decide to go ahead and bet. Brian folds, Janosch calls, and Matt Hunt shoves all in. This is what we do not want to have happen here. This is really, really, really shitty. This feels a lot like 2 overs in the nut flush draw, a straight draw in the nut flush draw, a pair in the nut flush draw, something like that. Something that he just wants to get the money in now and take it down and be done with it. The problem is he could have top set sometimes. I would expect him to check this flop pretty much 100 as the pre-flop raiser. We reluctantly let it go, and Janosch does call and Matt Hunt gets there. Something else I'm working on is just cold calling in 3-bet pots, trying to be more balanced there and not just doing it with hands like 8s and mixing in some really strong flats, especially on the button. You can flat hands like aces and kings sometimes. It's just like not important to think about balance if you're playing against just recreational players as much.
Table number 1, we're going to see Kenny open, get 3-bet by Marle in the small blind, and we're going to see 3. I don't necessarily always 3-bet a player profile like Kenny here.
Kenny goes ahead and opens it up in late position, and I 3-bet in the small blind with pocket 10s. He calls, and the flop is king 8-5 with a flush draw. There's a ton of hands that are going to continue here. The problem is we don't want to get raised, we don't want to get blown off our equity, and so I don't mind a check, but then moving forward we're kind of in the dark, whereas I think a bet kind of clarifies things going forward. I decided to go with a bet, not too large, and he calls.
I would probably just call, have some tricky leads. She's going to bet and get called, and now it's going to be in a weird spot, man. This is a tough one. This is why I don't do this. Now I think you have to check.
These boards in 3-bet pots are tough because like the king XX rainbow or the queen XX rainbow, like you're not perceived to have that much king X and queen X relative to your opponent's flatting range.
That's going to go check.
Turn is a brick. And this is the problem now too by betting, is now we just have to immediately go into check mode on pretty much every turn. It's not a 10. Luckily he checks back. And the river sucks also, it's an ace. So one of the incentives is betting the flop is maybe to deny some equity to hands like ace highs that are just gonna fold and things like that. But now that we lunge on the river, it's kind of shitty for us because we have nothing left to do here but check. We have totally enough showdown value that we don't need to bluff, but now it sucks, and he's definitely a capable opponent.
So I'm just gonna move over to the next table right now. Oh wait, whoa, he's turning it into a bluff.
Wow.
Sorry, Kenny. I disrespected your capability.
I don't like this a lot though, because when it goes bet flop check behind, Marle has so much ace X.
But does she check again on the river is the question.
Interesting.
It's kind of hard for him to rep an ace here though.
Yeah.
Like which ace? Ace 8?
This is the reason
2
why
combos. Ace 5 is 4 betting. That's also still only 2 combos.
This is the reason why I don't love it.
And he goes ahead and bets on the large side. I really like his decision to turn his hand into a bluff here. That his 8 is probably not winning at showdown very often, and he can definitely target hands like queens, jacks, 10s, 9s, maybe even some better 8s. Something like good to know going forward, that just because you have some pair and some showdown value, and it may seem like every time that you make a pair you don't need to be turning it into a bluff, but sometimes you do, and having a good intuition for where you're at in the hand is something that I think that he does really well. He put in a decent sized bet here. They did make this comment in the commentary, and I totally agree with them, that the sizing doesn't make a ton of sense because he wouldn't be making that sizing with a king. He could definitely value bet a king, I guess, but he'd probably be betting this all in the turn. So basically he's telling me he has an ace and an ace only. Now, how many aces could he have here? I mean, I don't really expect him to be continuing with offsuit aces pre. I don't really think that he would be value betting his worst aces, maybe like ace 3, 4, because it's kind of hard to get called by worse.
He doesn't have ace king too much.
He's not value betting a king for this size, if at all.
I think Marle's gonna...
Oh, she doesn't pick it off.
It works. What a sly little cat.
Something that I learned, and I'm going to start plugging myself, is just knowing that I under bluff in spots where I overestimate the amount of showdown value that I have. I'm actually going to the Bahamas in 4 days for the PCA. I'm going to be going to play the 25K tournament. I'm super stoked about that. It's gonna be an awesome time. Yeah, I am kind of beside myself that I'm gonna be playing a 25K, but I've heard there's a lot of value in it. There's gonna be $1 million added. There's gonna be no rake. There's gonna be fun in the sun. I'm stoked for that. So I'm going to do some filming down there and definitely put together a little vlog of my experience in that tournament. While I'm there, it's gonna be my birthday, so I'm gonna be turning 28 big ones. Can't believe that I'm 28 and single and broke. But you know, I have a cat, so